What's going on, man? Another day in paradise. We live and we learn. We experience. You know what I'm saying? We do shit. We learn shit. You know? That's just the trials and the tribulations of life, dude. Is what, when we stop being so fucking hard on ourselves, we realize, dude, that we're the answer to the fucking problem instead of sitting there and thinking about it too much. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. But that's what we're here for. I think, and it might feel like I'm saying this because of you, dude, but you would be amazed how many times that, we have seen situations where, you know, intuitively we know something's going on, something that has yet to be discovered and something that is going to be on that unfolds, and our practice is patience, believe it or not, dude. And I have this elder that's always in my ear about it, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? Patience, 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 right? Because you even need patience to think, you need patience to react, you need patience for a lot of things, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, I learned that, believe it or not, you know how I learned that trick, bro? Do you know how I learned that whole theme about you can't shoot bullets without a gun? The old man taught me. But it's not, it's someone who's in spirit. You know what I'm saying? It's my grandfather-in-law. At least that's how he said it, or we said it. You know what I'm saying? So, even in the afterlife, we got family. You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, it's like, hey, dude, if you don't have, you realize that you're in a toxic situation or you're in some type of situation where there's a lot of people pulling on your energy or there's a lot of codependency around. One of the most important things that you need to do is pull your energy back from everything and everyone to focus on your energy, which is the most important. When you get into situations where it's a perpetual bullshit lie consistently all the way around because people are being fake and they're not being authentic, sooner or later, dude, out of the love that you have or the common bond that you have for one another, you know what I'm saying? That sooner or later the truth has to come out because there's love there, there's excitement, there's some type of innocence that actually brings purity to the table on a consistent basis, bro, whether it's 28 days or not. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, yeah, we're thankful for you too. The thing is once you realize the truth, the truth might be painful in the beginning, but the release that comes thereafter, and you, my friend, experience that very healing process on the phone with us, you know what I'm saying? That we bear witness to, all of us, that might be some of the things that we're holding on to, dude. And when they come out, they come out, bro. There's no holding back. You know what I'm saying? Like, as human beings, we internalize shit on a daily basis. We let shit pass. We let shit slide. You know, we let people, tell us mistruths and stuff. And believe it or not, it's that sense of uncomfort that's consistent that builds up over time that forces the situation to unfold as well, is what spirit is saying here. So, when you're in unique situations like that, you realize that you're in an energy where where telling a lie is probably of your worst benefit. Okay, that being straight up honest, truthful, and forward and to the point and communicative in a friendly and compassionate way, or as direct as you possibly can be, will be the best outcome. Okay, because my wife has said it before, that we're in a time and an age of pure authenticity and truth, right? So anything that is an untruth has to be revealed in our lives in one way or another. So it's kind of like it's another way of me saying, hey, bro, don't take this shit personal. God's doing this. And we need to trust that, because that's exactly what's happening to a lot of people right now. A lot of people are being called to take a step, to release boundaries or bondage, to engage more in a divine principle and communication and connection, to embrace their higher self or start the journey of including yourself as trying to get to your higher self or a goal of some sort. There isn't a person in this room that doesn't have some type of intuitive awareness, some type of gift. And here's what, and this isn't really the shitty part, fam. You know what I'm saying? But if you have a gift, it's because you're meant to give back. Mm. If you have a gift, you are meant to give back. You are to serve in one way or another, be of service to yourself. But as you are of service to yourself, you are of service to others. When we don't come authentically to the table 111%, the universe is always putting a pin in it, putting a pin in it, putting a pin in it until you have no choice but to face that. You know what I'm saying? Because we can only deny the truth for so long before we have to dig deep and know that the only reason that we don't want to accept the truth is because it makes us feel uncomfortable. It rocks our mental situation, our mental stability. You know what I'm saying? But you can't be unwilling not to listen to what somebody has to say, regardless of how the fuck it makes you feel, unless they're being disrespectful. Because, like I told you before, my friend, if they're not building you, if you're not around people that are building you, and if you're not building each other in one way or another, then all you're doing is bringing each other down. There's no exception to the rule, is what Spirit is saying. So we have to hold ourselves to a higher accord and a higher accountability, and understand that our intuitive gifts aren't for us to play on the playing ground and then fuck around on the sandbox. No, these gifts are meant for you, to help you in your life, to bring balance and abundance and liberation and sovereignty. This is why these gifts are present within you. You know what I'm saying? Not to fuck around, look for a fucking date, go to the bar, drink a beer, this, that. Dude, that is an American way of life. It is not the natural way of life, period. Okay? That is not what a sovereign being does. To the clubs, to hanging out, to literally engaging in a bunch of fucking codependent behavior, because everybody's sucking any energy out of one another, and you're all feeding off each other till you can't feed each other no more, and then you end up liking each other and moving away or feeling uncomfortable because now you're all energetically gassed. And when you're energetically gassed, guess what? It's time to face some sort of truth. Whether we want to continue to go in this bullshit cycle, Chief said over and over and over again, like you got a winky in your hand and you're just playing with it all the damn time, or you actually decide to do something different and navigate your pain or your emotions or your instability or your self-doubt or your lack of self-awareness and self-intuition, or cultivating, here's the positive side, or literally understanding that you have a gift, embracing that you have a sovereign gift, and building on that gift that you've been given, because that's the doorway. Those are the building blocks to not self-destruct. But it's also the building blocks to self-destruction: the ego self, the identity self, the fake self, the inauthentic self, right? But when we say these things, a lot of people get confused because they're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Well, I'm not, he's like a spaceman. Da 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 da. He always free. No, it's not that. It's the fact that I'm speaking to people, okay, and addressing them as the sovereign divine soul, spirit in a body that they are. And the reason why people don't understand me is because they can't address their own sovereignty, okay? They don't respect themselves enough to understand that what I'm doing is I'm communicating with another soul, because I am a soul in this body. And we all are one. And we're all connected. We're all interconnected in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? So I address with the utmost respect and straight to the point, simply because of the fact that this is an example of what authenticity looks like. It's not always happy and joyous. You know what I'm saying? But you can be joyous and free within yourself. You can be joyous, free, and happy within yourself. Because what a lot of people like to do is they like to latch on to that kindness. They like to latch on to that love. They like to latch on to somebody, a buddy, which in your case is what we're talking about here. Because when you bring a higher presence with you, not knowing that you're bringing a higher presence, you will automatically attract the very mirrors that you are to learn from in one another. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty funny how everything eventually comes full circle, regardless of whether you think you've been handed a bag of shit, you know what I'm saying, or not, especially when it comes to these type of situations. Because when you're releasing that fucking toxic behavior, once you get away from that toxic behavior, then the toxicity it comes up in you, because there's nowhere to perpetuate that reality anymore. Now we have to see the truth. Now we have to speak the truth. Now we have to tell the truth. Now we have to live in that. You know what I'm saying? It's no more fucking around. It's no more going to the bar or fucking around with social clubs where there is a high amount of lack of self-esteem, self-doubt, self-awareness, and discipline and accountability. This is why people do the weird shit that they do when their emotions are all fucked up and their chakras are out of alignment. You know what I'm saying? This is, dude, I could literally open a fucking textbook and show you the ailments and the imbalances of each chakra, match them to either the 7 deadly sins, or show you the physical behaviors of when a human being, an energy being, is out of alignment with its divine self. You know what I'm saying? Just by looking at the rainbow or getting into the energy, I can tell you which chakras are out of alignment, and then I can tell you a story that is pertinent exactly to you, explaining the situation that you're going through in one way or another and how to solve it simultaneously. This is why people don't understand me, because they don't realize that I'm healing them as I'm speaking to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm opening up their eyes. I'm widening expanding their consciousness or their conscious awareness in that moment, so that way they could see themselves and understand what is being said here. But since we don't know what gratitude and compassion actually looks like in this modern day and era, we confuse it for somebody with ego. We confuse it for somebody, oh, this guy's just fucking, who's he think he is? Da 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 da, fucking barling all this shit. No. It's so people can hear me clearly and understand that what I'm trying to do here is present an influence that allows you to embrace the higher aspect of yourself through a perspective of another. This guy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know why this has fucking come up, to be honest with you, dude. We're just going off at this point of our spiritual sovereignty and our spiritual self that we're so out of tune with, dude. My wife said it the best, bro, and literally all I do is get example after example of the fact that she was fucking right when she said it. You know what I'm saying? Anything we put before God, source, creator, one, universe, anything we put above what we are, we will lose until we find ourselves and realize that we had it the whole time. It didn't look the way it was supposed to, only because the way that we were looking at it didn't allow us to. You know what I'm saying? It isn't even a glass half full mentality anymore, homie. It's the real deal. It's open your eyes and look at what's going on around you. Change is here. Everybody thinks it's near, but it's already here. Because when you pay attention, you could see that people are being forced to evolve or succumb to bullshit and fear. There's two pathways here. You know what I'm saying? There's two. We can either go take the high road and embrace the higher self and walk the walk that we're meant to walk and walk our path, or stay blind, dumb, and deeply, profoundly ignorant and allow other people to dictate our dreams, our goals, our desires, and the things that we actually want to do. You get to choose which one do you want to be. Do you want to live somebody else's dream, or do you want to live yours? I think when we put these things into perspective, I'm not shouting or talking down to anyone. I'm asking you, will you choose liberation or will you choose the lie? Which one will you choose? Salah. Thank you for being here. Hi, Dawn. How are you, my lady? I'm just sitting here cleaning up my mess. You know, I've been following new endeavors lately. There's a lot of new going around, apparently. Brother, I'm going to be honest with you, man. What I want you to do is live, love, learn, and grow. And that's the best thing that I could wish for anybody. For real. You know, every day I pray. And it's because it's a discipline of mine and I kind of have to. But every day I pray that we find our way. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that from the deepest place of myself. I pray that we find our way back to God, back to source, back to the universe, back to Mama Gaia, the earth, the land that allows us to live. See, another reason We lost our touch with the land and we lost our touch with God, the source. And here we are acting like a bunch of spoiled, entitled little individuals on this planet trying to play hierarchy and fucking domination and conquest. And the reality of it is that this was always a free land. It was a gift to live, and that was the gift that you were given. But you were one with the land. You were one with the land before there was language. There was just an understanding, a knowing, a connection with the mother, the land, right? Which is something that I've been shown lately, has come to me in visions, and also the teachings that I'm receiving from the elders, is that a lot of the reason why society is so fucked up is that because they lost their connection with the earth and the sky. The earth and the sky. You know what I'm saying? From the root to the crown, and the connection of them in the in between, the rainbow, and then the bridge to the rainbow being the heart. We can tell this a million ways. Okay, we're always going to get back to the source. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? But until we start looking at these perspectives or these supposed concepts, which not, it's actually our reality, we understand that it's not as woo-woo as we thought it was, where a lot of people are uncomfortable with the woo-woo shit. You know what I'm saying? So the easiest way to find yourself is to get back to the very thing. A lot of people fucking say it all the time, Corey, is fucking, hey, ground. You got to ground. You got to ground. But the natives will tell you that's not grounding. That's a version of grounding. Put your hands in the dirt. Honor the very thing that you are, because it is you. You were made from its clay and stone and fire and water. And you know what I'm saying? And earth. We were made from these things originally on this planet. We were part of a natural ecosystem. We knew what to do automatically because we were in symbiotic relationship with the planet. And as we evolved or devolved, we became out of alignment with the planet when we started taking from the planet. And then slowly we started diminishing God as we diminished the planet, not realizing that they're both one and the same. And it is our responsibility as intuitive healers and light workers and feelers and seers and all those beautiful things to honor the very thing that they are, because we have been chosen. And there are select few that have been, because some need to answer the call to do these things naturally, live their very existence, experience their lives as divinely led as it possibly can, and knowing that great change is something that we vibrate everywhere that we go, because now we are allowing our natural, normal, intuitive, symbiotic relationship not only with the planet, but with the source as well, the earth and the sky. And if you haven't heard the drums yet, you know what I'm saying? And for any of you that have heard drums, you might want to meditate on that or do a shamanic journey. We do those things at Four Corners Healing37.com. Or if you need soul counsel for whatever reason that is, understanding more of the concepts that we have discussed today, or the archetypal structure of the ego, you're more than welcome to go on the website, ask questions, watch another video, share it with somebody you know. You know what I'm saying? Because these things are going to be more and more prevalent in daily life here coming up soon, where you're going to be more open to the truth because the lie no longer exists, and it's a promise. It's also a prophecy that you'll hear more about here soon, you know. But I'm not going to, I don't give you a time and a date. The only thing that I can tell you is something's coming. Which side of the fence are you on? You know what I'm saying? Are you looking for the path to the light? Are you looking for the path to higher yourself? Are you ready to fucking live a abundant, fruitful life? Or do we still need to fight? Do we still need to struggle? Do we still need to feel like we're broke or we're impoverished or enslaved somehow? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we go back to those two choices. But now that we've discussed that with everybody, it only seems like you have one, right? And that's the beauty of discernment. That's the beauty of digging into yourself and knowing what is truthful and more beneficial to you from the inside than having to think about it. What's up? You know what I'm saying? What's up, Liz? Long time. What's up, lady? How you doing? Daddy Scraps, how are you, sir? I mean, if you have anything to add or you'd like to put your perspective in the chat, I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you in any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Or we could just sit here and stare at each other. You like my eyes? They're brown. You're busy with the kiddos? You're too modest, ma'am. You are too modest. Well, good. I'm glad somebody understands this because that's what I'm here to. I'm here to be of service, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to do what I'm called to do. I'm here to do what I love to do. You know, and regardless of whether anybody wants to believe it or not, is really not my responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Because our versions of what can help us are convoluted with judgment. And of course, you're gonna judge all this, right? You're gonna judge the way that it comes out of my mouth, dude. That's just the way people are, especially when they have trust issues. I myself had them, so I understand. You know, but sooner or later, the truth just goes pow pow, and hits you right exactly where it meant, where it meant to show you that the truth is nothing less than profound and God is real. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, man. You know, a good exorcism will teach you that. Trust me, I've had two. What? You think I'm not supposed to learn this shit the hard way? Yo, that's my job. So that way you don't have to. I'm not saying you're gonna make it easy on yourself. I'm saying it gets a whole lot easier after that. Yes, I learned the hard way too, buddy. Nothing coming out, bro. Just dude, it's real. It's fucking real, dude. You know what I'm saying? The Exorcist was no joke, dude. It was just different. You know, if you ever wanted to be a soldier, here you go, bro. You're gonna get plenty of fucking badges. How about that? I ain't bullshitting. Yep. Like I said, the power of healing is nothing less than profound, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not even about burning bridges anymore. You're not here to burn anything. You're here to realize that everything is a blessing in some way, somehow. If you hate it, it taught you something. Now stop disliking it because it did teach you something and show gratitude for it, right? You know? Again, perspective is key, people. You know? You got to learn how to read in between the lines because you can't have one without the other. So let's say that your life on this end, okay? Use this as an example. Your life on this end is exactly where you are right now, and it's not the most desirable outcome, you know? And you want to be over here, you know, where it's like, let's say you're sandy beaches, you know, whatever, a balanced family, whatever that looks like, right? But you're over here, seeing over here. How are you going to get there? Huh? How are you going to get there? Well, you have to realize that this and this both exist right now, right here, simultaneously. It's the law of duality, universal law. And the first laws and the first rules of this entire fucking galaxy. are universal laws. Any other law besides universal law is second at best. Okay? One cannot exist without the other simultaneously. So that goes to say that as you are having a bad day, your awareness or your practice or your discipline or your commitment will automatically counteract that vision or that perspective or that perception of having a bad day over to where one exists, so does the latter. And then you go on the conscious seeking or discovering of what that is. And then when you find it over there, you bring yourself back to balance once again. And that, it's kind of like the pattern of how we heal, learn, love, grow. You know what I'm saying? Where we don't necessarily want some type of undesired outcome, and we don't want to be in the situation that we're in. We feel like we're screwed, or for whatever reason. Just know that simultaneously there is another you in a better situation because they intended it, right? But it started here. So you have to be willing to honor the journey to the other side of polarity to look for what you do want from the other side of polarity and not get caught up in overindulgence and lack of alignment and overstimulation on that side too. See, you got to be somewhere in this area. You can't be here and you can't be here. You need to be balanced and aligned, and you need to be in the present moment, right? So whatever outcome that presents to you, and this is kind of like the perspective that I've been taught or told by God, is that you are the observer of all things. You get to observe shitty aspects, but simultaneously, as you're observing shitty aspects, you're also observing beautiful aspects. You get to choose what you're looking for. You get to choose the journey and the process of how you're going to look for it. Or you could deeply surrender and allow spirit to show you the way. Do you know what I'm saying? Either way, you're going to discover that very fine alignment within yourself through that path. And we got to be more willing to negotiate that path, bro. Because there's the times for being offended, it's almost over if it's not over. Okay? We shouldn't be offended about anything. Everybody speaks their own fucking language, and nobody's judging you anyway. Okay? So why the fuck are we even judging each other in the first place? The only person that's around you judging you is actually you, and then your personal experience is literally reflecting on you. So what are we worried about? What are we disgruntled about? What are we upset about? When we realize that everybody's got their own unique path to live, so respectfully, I live mine and choose to live in harmony and in balance and in community than living selfishly. There's a lot of ways we can look at this, fam. There's a lot of ways we can look at this, but either way, all paths lead to the one, and embracing and expecting. Where are we going with the expecting? Because I don't even like using that word. Knowing what expectation looks like versus having the surprises that come in your life from embracing the oneness within you, or literally starting that journey. I know I'm talking to somebody in here that's on the fence about it, if not all of you. It's like you guys are afraid to surrender control. But the only thing that's trying to control shit is the ego, because the only way it could hold on to this reality is to fight with you or trick you into believing that there's still some type of fucking importance in this one. So that doesn't go without saying that when you're on the shitty side of the fence, that's exactly what the ego is going to keep you there, to make you stable and safe and pull a con job on you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're conning yourself. Or, you go over to the other side of the fence where you're trying to be positive and you're trying to look at the more perspective, the more positive perspective. And this happens to a lot of people where they focus on nothing but the positivity, but they forget about the negativity that they fucking buried under their feet. We always talk about stable foundations, and you can't have that shit going on, dude. Your foundation is unstable. Eventually it'll come crumbling down because you missed the point of why you needed to do that in the first place. And everybody's heard me talk about every 28 days you go through a fucking cycle, whether you believe it or not. And if you paid attention to the 3 days before the moon and the 3 days after the moon, you would know that I was fucking right. But we can't get people to pay enough attention because the distractions start coming in the second that you start paying attention to yourself. Because it's literally a mind fucking game that we've set up for ourselves many moons ago that doesn't allow us to focus on embracing the higher aspect of ourselves because we've been indoctrinated. So your first weapon of defense is awareness, right? The spirit that you are, the awareness. But if we don't engage in learning and growing and being and communicating and connecting to that awareness, then we're gonna really, really we're gonna run into fucking barriers left and right until we figure that out. You know? And it says a lot like life. I'm talking about living in a conscious way. It doesn't matter where you come from or what the fuck you believe. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what you eat unless you're eating shit. You know what I'm saying? Then, hey, don't do that, because nobody wants to eat that, you know? But there's a lot more playing room in self-discovery and self-understanding than a lot of people understand. There's a lot more lenience towards certain things that we don't know about or we didn't know when we did the shit in the first place. We just felt bad about it because we just watched other people do it and then said, oh yeah, I gotta feel bad about that too, because fulanito and menganito felt bad and I watched it on a TV show when I was growing up. People don't even know. Like, it's like the indoctrination doesn't come from one place, man. It comes from our parents, it comes from the things we watch, it comes from the things we like, it comes from the things that we don't like. You know what I'm saying? We make all these choices, but we make all these choices from an unconscious place. And now that these gifts are waking up in a lot of people, it's time to realize that there is a higher calling, and the only thing that you should be focusing on is that and the responsibility and duty that you have to yourself and others, your community. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's a job or you actually working with your community, whether it's healing, channeling, readings, you know what I'm saying? Whichever way that you can exercise your intuitive gift, follow a more passionate timeline instead of, engaging in a lot of the bullshit that a lot of people are engaging in right now, and they're scared whether they're going to have money tomorrow or not. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, it's like, hey, money don't worry about you. Why are you worried about money? And if your vibration is your currency, your energy is your currency, why do you not hold that sacred? And why do you not maintain that if you know that that is the very foundation of all your well-being outside of yourself and awareness? You know what I'm saying? Somebody had to walk it to be able to speak it. And here we are. And the only thing that I can tell you after telling you all these things is I encourage you to find your way through it. Because the benefits will outlast the short-term feelings that you'll get from success, or the way that you have been satiating yourselves in one way or another to feel like you're successful, like you've made it, like you've done something. Dude, we're all living a lie somehow. And we have to see that within ourselves, including myself. So I, as a humble teacher and speaker here, are just letting you know, honor the path that you've been given. Honor the gifts that you've been given. Honor the voice that you speak and communicate wisely and authentically and truthfully. No more lies, no more games, no more manipulation, no more playing in the sandbox or the playground when you belong in the clouds with everything else. The way in the ether, where the way it's meant to be, the path of spirit, the path of one, embracing that divine sovereign self and what that looks like and what you're here to do, see, be, hear, and act. You know? It's like a lot of people don't even realize they're living a lie because they're still walking around in their trauma thinking that that's the wound that is literally going to free them because that's how their intuitive gifts came in one way or another. Whether we realize it or not, dude, that was the pathway to get to God that you needed first to show you the way to your higher self. So from your wounds actually come the blessings as well. That's why it's important to be able to see the positive aspect and the negative aspect simultaneously so that way you can discern what's good for you or not. It's a law. So I hope you enjoyed this little teaching and this little message, fam, because it's from the highest places that we come from with this stuff, dude, because there is a love like no other on the other side of your own bullshit that is meant just for you. so you can share it with everybody else, because that's what we're here to do. So you're either going to step up or you're going to step out. Here we are. Well, you also have to consider the planetary placements. You know what I'm saying? Because when you study astrology, you know that you have Scorpio and you have Sagittarius playing right now, which is fire, fire, water, okay? And a little bit of earth going on right now, and air, of course, you know. But look at the elements that are at play here. If you have all that fire and you can't tame your fire, then that tells you that your fire dosha is out of place and out of alignment, okay? Anger, rage, not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want anybody talking to you. You're in self-defense mode. You're in primal instinct. You know, it's classic ego death or classic purification, I can say. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have fire going on that long, when you're hot or you're quick, or you're fucking literally antsy, you have to realize that when you have that all in you, dude, how are you going to quell that? How do you balance your fire? Water. You have to be mindful of the emotions that you allow to carry and play inside of your mind. Because if not, they just build up and then it goes, and then you're mad for no fucking reason, not realizing that when Mars is playing, you look at your Scorpio placements. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're just on wrath mode. We're in war mode, not realizing that that's our sensitivity. That's our wake up call. That's us coming into our awareness. We don't have to quell the fire. We have to learn how to tame the fire and bring balance to the fire. You know? That's something I learned the hard way. I mean, we're not here to assume, man. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. You can take that home, dude. We're not here to assume. We speak what we speak for many reasons. Okay? And that's just the way it is. We're not responsible for misinterpretations, you know? But we also have to understand that there just might be a misinterpretation of ourself of the message that we heard that automatically made us emotionally aware so much. Like something had been challenged. You know what I'm saying? Like a reality, the foundation of a reality is now in question because of the instability that literally comes up inside of the being, where they automatically have to say something to defend themselves, when in reality, that's just a survival instinct that comes up inside of us in the moment that lets us know that there is an emotional fear inside of us or a misunderstanding that doesn't allow us to learn and grow in the ways that we're meant to. And that's the emotional trigger and what it actually says when that happens. You know, it's another way of me helping people to say, hey, before you decide to feel a certain type of way or get offended, know yourself and do something different. Because the only way to fight for what's right is to know what is true. And the only way to know what is true is to know when it's right inside here. And if you have these type of feelings literally bubbling up from your gut to about your chest space right now, then that means deeper discernment is necessary. Because now you are on the precipice of realizing that there is an emotional fault or flaw inside of our way of thinking or way of picking up the energy that is being broadcast to us on a consistent basis. Trust me, people get triggered all the time, honey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a healer. This happens naturally. But the beauty of this opportunity is to see that I also feel that too and can navigate through it in a more calm and conscious manner than coming from a space where I feel vulnerable or I feel like I've been attacked. Not realizing that I just allowed words to offend me somehow. And those words that man spoke lit something inside of me to where I had to, What is that? Why did I do that? Because it doesn't feel good. Why would I do something that doesn't feel good over and over and over again to myself? It's because it's not you, and it's not going to go away till you fucking realize that. So, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Patty? Vegan. What's up, lady? I got about 20 more minutes until I get out of here, man. Maybe 15 at most. But I wanted to come over here and I just wanted to share some experiences in this message. I think a lot of people are being challenged to embrace their higher self now. And a lot of things are coming into a question, and we're easily offended or we're easily stirred up in one way or another. They're not realizing that those exactly the pain points that we need to address within our lives at this moment. Because you shouldn't be reacting for anything unless you want to. You know what I'm saying? Or someone scares the shit out of you. Fuck. But, boo. I didn't see you there. Not much, sister. Educating the masses. The masses. I got to be of service every day, bro. You already know how this goes. I've been training. It's a commitment. That's what they say. I'm just here enjoying my training, bro. You know what I'm saying? Doing what I do. I think I was talking about it. I was like, bro, I trashed the 26,500 follower page. And I don't give a fuck. I used to regret it. I realized the error of my ways is that some things, it helps me understand a lot of my generational upbringing, right? Because I see a consistency in my lineage, in my immediate lineage, in my family. There's a lot of broken dreams here because nobody has the balls to follow through with it because they don't have the right tools to have the balls to follow through with it. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? And that was the beauty of being a black sheep in this space, because now my awareness and my clarity is like at 100 and 1,000. And now I can see why I was placed here. You know what I'm saying? What I'm meant to overcome, what I'm meant to serve people with, what I'm meant to understand and experience. You know, now that I actually get to see the generational conditioning in my family, because I have solved it within myself, I have rectified these issues within myself, but they also taught me that those were exactly the experiences that I needed to be the healer that I am today. Not just for them or myself, mostly for myself, but for many as well. You heal one, you heal 100. That's what I've heard, right? I don't know how many people I've healed, but I'm probably up at the 1,000 mark. Easy, you know, in one way or another. So, welcome in everybody who's here and who's new. I don't know you. Hi, how are you? My name is Jay. I'm Jose. I'm a shaman, a practicing shaman. Also have many other gifts that have taken me time to master in one way or another. This is a learning and teaching experience, fam. There's students and there's teachers, and we all consistently switch through those roles. So welcome in. For those of you who are new, hi, baby. I love you. I seen you come in here. You came in at the same time as Megan. Thank you for protecting me or looking over me, ma'am. You came in at exactly the right time. I love you. Oh, shit. Oh, I love the team, bro. Hello, Sunshine. Welcome in. So, the next time we decide to engage in some type of behavior like that, dude, just remember, dude, you know, some of us just didn't grow up, dude, and we act like a bunch of spoiled little kids, man. Things have to be a certain way. We always got to be right about something. It's all ego, man, to feel significant. When in reality is the truth is something that inside you it's unmistakable and profound. And I tell people all the time, I go, what the easiest way for me to sleep at night is? Because I've lied my entire life. is to tell the fucking truth. And I lie. The only reason that I lie to people my entire life is, well, not in my entire life, but I lied most of my life was because people were lying to me all the fucking time. They weren't telling me the truth. They were telling me the truth that they desired to speak. Because nobody knew better. Shit. A lot of you are realizing your parents didn't fucking know better either. And finally able to forgive that space, you're like, damn, nah, because their grandmother did that or their grandfather did that. And then somebody did that to their grandfather. We said it 2 years ago. Sooner or later, you're gonna run to the. You're gonna come to the point where you realize that there's nobody to fucking blame. Nobody to blame. Nobody to point to paint the finger at, because nothing you've ever done is in vain. Everything is a learning and teaching space in one way or another, or you get to appreciate it for the lesson that it gave. Either way, as shitty as that may sound, gratitude is something that is harder to stomach than bullshit. Because we don't know what authentic gratitude is till we start living it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We don't know what authentic gratitude is till we start living it. We don't know what authentic compassion is till we experience it and get a confirmation of what it actually is from the divine than us thinking or assuming that it's just this when it's so much more. Thank you, Megan. You know I never post those things. Cause I, cause I don't fucking, I can't copy and paste the shit, bro. I just tell people, hey, look, if you like an energy reading, a healing, or a counsel, an energy healing and reading, it's just $25 today, and it's just for the live, fam. On the website, these things are a lot more spendier than what they are here, but this will just give you a taste of how the truth will set you free. The things that we practice and teach here are nothing less than fucking getting you in the most right way, in the most right place, in what may seem the wrong time. Because the time is now for a lot of us to answer the call to our higher selves, take that next leap and that next lift on that ladder, and be more embracing of the fact that you are climbing that ladder and knowing where you are headed in the long run, to your best, highest, most authentic reality, self, situation, outcome, whatever the fuck that looks like in your life right now. And realize that the best way is the honest way and the authentic way. So honoring the authenticity within ourselves and the awareness within ourselves and the gifts that we've been given and the intuitive awareness that we've been given, and actually doing something with it and putting it at the forefront of our lives like we're supposed to be, because those are God's gifts. Therefore, God's gifts are in you. And if you don't put God's first, then you're shitting on your gift. Hey, whew. I got one-liners all day is what I heard. The biggest message here is you get to decide. I don't know who needed to hear that. You know what I'm saying? You get to decide which way your life wants to be. Are you the lost puppy dog, or are you going to help yourself? Are you going to help yourself find yourself through the arrows that you have been given that are pointing you a certain way? Embrace your gifts. Embrace the love within you. Embrace the compassionate space that you so desire for yourself and others. And that will show you. Bro, love will teach you. Will just show you the way and what it is. So for those of you who are looking for mentorship, you're looking for soul counsel, or you're looking for a reading, here today I'm doing them for $25. I'm going to be here and just be here for a couple minutes. If not, we have many healing and counseling services and mentorship space for all you beautiful people that are looking to one up on life right now and take the mushroom for a chance, for a second chance, because these calls only come around they're so far and few, but so far and many, but nobody gets to see when we need to answer the next call or the next step or embrace those things within ourselves, which is why we teach people about cycles and patterns, which is why we like to use the moon, because it's the easiest thing to reference. But each planet and each planet in a sign represents a stage in those, or a step in those cycles, you know? And that's also part of the things that we learn when we honor oneself, you know? So stay tuned for more content on those very aspects of your, you know, the elements inside you, and bringing oneness to your elements and your energetic awareness. And then also your astrological, the astrological aspect, the stars, you know, understanding that those things also have an influence on our demeanor, on our behaviors, whether they're purifying us, hindering us, or setting us free. Either way, you're going to discover all three. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they're there for. When it's time, it's time. We need to embrace the fact that it's time, because we're all on God's dime. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it. It just comes through. You know? So embrace the source within thyself. And yeah, that means a lot of things. And it starts with your willingness to engage in something you can't necessarily see, but the feelings inside of you are telling you you should believe it. And I'm not talking about the shitty ones either. I'm talking about guidance. I'm talking about flow. I'm talking about rhythm. I'm talking about connection. I'm talking about your spiritual awareness, the things that you can pick up, or the things that you see that you pick up, that you read intuitively. You don't know where the information is coming from. You just know it's there and it's accessible to you. There you go. What's up, One Eye Jack? There's a song about One Eye Jack. So, with that being said, I'm going to get up out of here. Much love to each and every one of you. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to download this live, and I'm going to post it on YouTube. And if you guys want to see it again, or you missed something, or you didn't catch everything, you're more than welcome to see that on YouTube. Much love to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful and blessed night, fam. And, you know, check out my YouTube page. I'll be posting this up later. Take care.